Did you know that you can create a custom layout for your reports? If not, follow this tutorial and learn how to create your own layout and how to reuse it for other reports. Let me first say a few general words about the layout options of our integrated reporting function. There are two types of report layouts: the default report layout and the specific report layout. The default report layout stores a layout based on the reported object types, such as volume objects, CAD models, surface meshes, ROIs, analyses, geometry elements, and GD&T features, and the global background layout. When you create a report, all section groups based on objects of the same type will use the same section configurations and layouts. Default report layouts can be applied to arbitrary scenes. The specific report layout defines the layout of a report for a specific scene content. The layout of section groups and sections of the same type can vary within reports with such a layout. The constellation of the objects to be reported must be the same as in the initial report the layout is based on. This tutorial is about the custom default report layout. I'm going to show you how to edit the layout of your report, save the customized layout as default layout, and apply the default layout to a new report. Okay, enough theory. I'll open VG Studio Max and off we go. So that I can start with the actual topic right away, I have prepared a project. It contains the reconstructed volume of a drag shoe, a braking device for a vehicle. The volume object has been split into two symmetrical volume objects. On each of them, I have performed a porosity inclusion analysis. I created views to be able to quickly compare the analysis results of the two volumes. To keep things simple, I will create a report for part 1. Then customize and save the layout as default report layout and create a report for part 2 using the same layout. Of course, you can use the default layout for different projects as well. All options to create and manage reports are available on the Reporting tab. To create a project report, I'll highlight the scene item in the scene tree and click here on Create Report. All objects included in the current project will be preselected in the tree view of the dialog. For now, I don't need part 2, so let me just check that only part 1 is selected. The Open Report After Creation option is activated by default, which means that the report will immediately open as soon as it is created. And here it is. The report will open in View mode. To edit the layout, I'll switch right into Edit mode. Let's have a look at the section groups. The first section group contains the sections that provide information about the volume object. I want my report to include all relevant information, but I also want to keep it as short as possible. Therefore, I want to remove unnecessary information. And that's easily done with a click on the minus sign here. I don't need the file list information. And also the manufacturer, scan, and component info sections can be removed, since the corresponding information is not available for our volume. I only need the information about the volume settings, the 3D surface, and the view showing the analysis results in the 2D and 3D windows. The next section group provides information about the analysis settings, and the results shown in views, tables, and images. Clicking a page element in the main area will open the corresponding element properties on the right-hand side, where you can find several options to adjust the layout to your needs. Let's take a look at the indication table. It's really extensive, spanning 27 pages. But don't worry, we don't need to go through all of them right now. I'll click on Indication Table in the section group to take us back to the first page. I'm mainly interested in the 20 largest indications. To get started, I'll click on the table area to access the element properties. Here, I have several options to edit the indication table. First, I'll remove any empty or unnecessary columns, like the description and classification columns, which are currently empty. Next, I want to sort the table by the indications with the largest diameter. I'll do this by selecting Diameter from the Sort by Column drop-down list and choosing Descending as the sort order, so the largest indications appear at the top. Finally, I'll restrict the number of rows by checking the limit displayed rows and entering 20 in the spin box. Now, we have a concise table that shows only the most relevant information. In the same way, you can edit other page elements. Simply click a page element to view the options that are available for editing it in the Element Properties section. Besides changing the layout of individual page elements, you can also insert custom pages. For example, to create a title page. Let's see how this works. Clicking the plus sign to the right of each section group displays a list of sections that can be added to the section group. To create a title page, I'll click the plus sign next to the Scene section group and select Custom. This will insert an empty page that I can now design as I like. I can use the buttons at the top of the dialog to add page elements and edit them using the options available in the Element Properties section. Let me show you a few examples. I'll click the Text button to add a title, for example, Porosity Inclusion Analysis. In the Element Properties section, I can choose an appropriate font size and adjust the position and size of the text field. Next, I want to see the tolerance state of the analysis. Therefore, I'll click Info and select Object Evaluation State from the drop-down list. Finally, I want to insert an image. I'll click Image and browse for the image I want to add. The changes I made so far apply to individual pages of the content area of the report. But it is also possible to edit the background area. I only need to switch from Content to Background mode here. Keep in mind that unlike for Content mode, changes made in Background mode will apply to each page of the report. In the background of my report, I only want to see the name of the project, the date, and the name of the section currently selected in the main area. So, I'll remove everything else. And I don't want the name of the text field to be displayed. I'll uncheck the Show Name option and choose Left for alignment. Now, I'll click and drag the remaining text field and move it to the left to get space for adding a logo. I'll click on Image. And here is my logo. I'll go back to Content mode, and as you can see, the background looks the same for the whole report. And that's it. I'm done with my report layout. The next step is to save the new layout as my default report layout. First, I'll click Save to save the report, and Exit to close it and return to the project. The report I just created is already selected in the scene tree, which allows me to save the layout as default layout. To do this, I'll go back to the Reporting tab and click Export Default Layout. I'll save the default layout under the name PIA Layout in a suitable location. There's one thing you need to remember. It is not possible to create a default layout from a report that contains an absolute reference. Absolute references are created when you copy and paste an element, such as a histogram, an image, or a table, from one section to another section of the same report. Absolute references only work within the same report, meaning that you won't be able to apply your default layout to a different scene configuration. To avoid such pitfalls when creating your default layout, absolute references are marked with a small arrow. Back to VG Studio Max. To create a new report with the same layout, I'll highlight the scene item and then open the Create Report dialog again. In this example, I'll just create a new report for Part 2 of the drag shoe so that I don't have to open a new project. In the tree view, I'll make sure that only the objects belonging to Part 2 are selected. Then, I'll click Custom here on the General tab and select the PL layout from the list of previously used layouts. And here is the new report with the default layout. In this video, I've shown only a small number of options that are available to edit a report. Now that you've learned how to save a layout as a default layout, you can create as many default layouts as you wish and reuse them for different projects. Now you can try it out on your own and explore other layout options you might want to apply to your reports. For additional information on the integrated reporting, click the FAQ button here that will lead you to the FAQ page on our website. Plus, make sure to register on Nexus and make it your go-to place for sharpening your expertise. Get access to this video and other information material to get the best out of our software. And visit the VG community to exchange ideas, ask questions, and discuss topics with other users and our Hexagon experts. And stay up to date on the latest news and developments. Register now, a world of insight awaits. Thanks for watching, and see you soon on Nexus.